So the project has been under construction since late May. I think the third week in May is when we officially broke ground. And then shortly thereafter, Mayo'rs, the company that's been doing the general construction work, has been on site, really moving a lot of dirt and preparing the buildings for construction. So then this is basically the front of the facility as it relates to the parking area. Right behind you, and I don't know, Ron, is there staking that can kind of point it out? But generally in this vicinity where the concrete blocks are and to the building, not quite that far, but is the turnaround area. So when you look at the master plan, there's a circle, which is kind of a drop-off area. And when we went through the design and planning process, we wanted to make sure if we were going to spend a large sum of public money, that we just didn't have a pool that was used three months out of the year. So a big component of the facility planning has been, how do we use this thing in the spring, in the fall, and then the winter months? Of course, you can't swim in the winter when the pool's outdoor, but we have other utility and purpose within the facility. So the skating or the drop-off area will double as a skating area. So we're gonna flood that for wintertime skating. So if you remember using what used to be a skating pond on the other side of the facility with the warming house, we're actually keeping that here at the Whitterfield complex. And then just beyond it is going to be another kind of a green space area, and that will be where we locate our lowboard hockey. Right now, lowboard hockey is used at Robinson Park in the winter months, and we're going to be adding that amenity to this park. So again, two nice wintertime uses at the facility. And then where you see the four columns go up in the air, that is the admissions area. That's the center part of the building, and that is also a four-season use. So in the summertime, it'll be summer admissions for aquatics for you to scan your badge or pay your admissions fee. But it'll also be a warming house, warming shelter area with restrooms. And then to the left of there will be a multi-purpose room. So right now we've got a lot of rentable, reservable shelters within the city, but oftentimes they're full in the summer months, or in some cases we have a need off-season as well. So the multi-purpose room will have capacity for about 100 people. So it'll be a reservable community room for people to rent for birthday parties and family gatherings, etc. And then the far end of the building will be restrooms that'll serve both the park uses as well as the concessions area. And concessions is a big component of the kind of how we're going to afford to operate the thing, right? We sell a lot of concessions to the various users, so concessions will be available both to aquatic swim users as well as the general park users on site. So that half of the building to the northwest will be four-season and in use for a variety of users that I just talked about. And then the portion of the building to the right that we'll walk up closer to is the locker room, changing facilities, and restrooms, which will serve primarily the aquatics users. So those will be winterized for non-swim months. But this is the tot pool. So this is for your beginner swimmers, the first time pool users. For this body of water here, you'll see that there's which is probably the most unique feature in the facility in terms of how is this facility different than other pools in the Wisconsin or Midwest area, is it has a tot lazy river. So it's a little shallower than your traditional lazy river, but it'll allow supervisors, parents, grandparents, etc. to take their children through the tot lazy river. It's not going to be as intimidating as the other portions of the facility, what we'll talk about in a second. But there'll be a nice seating wall for them to use. You'll also see where the plywood is on the kind of back end. That is zero depth entry, so you're not walking down steps to get in the pool. You literally just come in at a slight incline. Of course, there's some steps that are being built here and on this side, on both sides. There'll actually be two tot slides in this body of water itself, and those will be kind of off the back side over to the right. All of you can see some of the red spots in the facility. Those are where, if you've been to the splash pad over at Meadfield, we're going to be having some splash and spray features in the pool. So the splash and spray will be on that end, and this end will be a bit more of the kind of quieter, if you've got tots that are not quite feeling comfortable or confident in the swimming area, we want to make sure that that the facility serves all users, those that are more confident in their swimming and less confident. So there'll be some spray features that'll be like a tall leaf and a frog, I think, and kind of some other unique animal pieces to this to this body of water here. The other point that I always make when we give tours is why we separated the bodies of water for a couple of reasons. One is programming. We can separate programming, so if we want to have lap swim on the far pool or active kind of a basketball activity, that type of thing, we don't have to separate or close off the pools during that use. All of the pool deck will have cabana chairs like you would expect, lounge chairs like you would have any other facility. And all of these what generally you would see as a pole, like a base for a light pole or something, these are all poles for shade structures. So we wanted to make sure that while you're outside in the summertime, it's great to enjoy the sun, you at least have some area for respite or shade, so you're not out in the sun the entire time you're at the facility. This is our second body of water, or the second pool. You'll notice that there's a accessible ramp that takes users into the pool. By pool code standards, if you have any sort of incline or stair activity, you either have to do something like this, or in the case of the other pool, put in a chairlift to drop folks into the pool. So folks with accessibility or mobility challenges have the ability to use your facilities. So it's a nice feature. I think it'll be nice for a variety of reasons to have this accessible ramp in our facility, again, to serve as many people in our community as possible. Considering it's everyone's pool, right? It's a city facility. So then the tower, the rebar, the metal pieces in that pool, or in the deeper pool, that's for multi-faced basketball hoops, so water basketball in that body of water. And then in that area that's kind of the half square or partial square will be a water walk. So it'll have kind of, if you've been to various pool facilities, floating logs and then kind of the mesh net over the top to be able to climb across from one end to the other. So again, another kind of programmatic thing, something fun, adding some variety to the facility. And then you can look, as you see down further, just like you saw in the lazy river over here, the tile work, and that's the lazy river. You know, it's pretty large. I can't remember the exact calculation. I believe it's four laps or 8 laps, maybe to a mile. I can't remember the number, but it'll be great, obviously, for the lazy river component. But it'll also serve as water walking. So folks that maybe seniors that are looking to get some low impact exercise, or those that are in maybe aquatic therapy or rehabilitation, that water walk area will serve that purpose really well. And then beyond it, where the crews are pushing earth right now, you see more of these type sonotube or light bases. That's where the 2 slide towers are. So there'll be 2 slides, a tube slide and a body slide, which will both be on that end of the facility over there. And so the run out area will be into the back corner of the lazy river on the site over there. The lazy river will have an action channel, we're calling it, which is sort of jets in the water and some water coming down over the top. Again, to give it a little bit more interest, try to simulate the rapids that Wisconsin Rapids would historically known for in some way. And as you heard me speak about earlier, this is that area where is your grand entrance to the facility. So you'd come in, again, pay your fee, walk through here, and kind of opens up into the entire space of the facility. And so this is the back corner, is the concession area. So that'll be a concession window on this corner and then a concession window on the other corner. As you can imagine, a facility of this size and scale is going to employ a lot of people, probably a lot of summer help. So whether it's concessions or attendance at the admissions area, I talked about lifeguards. We also have some pool management staff on site, so it'll employ a lot of people for the summer. Give a lot of job opportunities for young people if they're coming back from college or maybe they're still in high school. So certainly something we're pretty excited about. The columns that are behind you also on this building here are similar to what you see over here on my left or your right, and that is cabana. So these areas will be reservable or rentable for cabanas, for parties, get-togethers, family gatherings, one of which will kind of hang over that multi-purpose shelter or community room that folks can rent. And this here is the third pool, the last pool in our facility. It's a unique shape, as you can see. It's not intended to offer competitive lap swim, but be more of a recreational activity pool. There'll be basketball hoops on either side of the sides of the facility, kind of near where those either inlets are or outlets, whatever you want to call them. Diving well, you can see it's a very deep pool, so there will be a diving board on the other end, but it will be marked on the bottom for some kind of more recreational or casual lap swim activities. The back left corner is again kind of comes to a unique point at a kind of a square, and the purpose of that is it's actually going to have a climbing wall to it. So if you think about a climbing wall in the gymnasium or something, having a climbing wall that you'll climb up and be able to drop back in the pool will be another cool feature that we're pretty excited to have at this pool. And the last feature, which again I think is going to be very unique, something you don't see in a lot of municipal facilities, is actually a small zip line. So you'll be able to climb out in a zip line and then drop into the pool at the end. It doesn't take you across the pool, but it'll take you to a point where you can fall in. Again, pretty unique. You know, when the city went through the design process, we just didn't want to build something again that was just a pool, but something a bit unique that for the course of its lifespan, which is probably 40 to 50 years, hopefully we'll get that life out of it if we maintain it and take good care of it. That there's something unique and interesting for a lot of users. So the other piece I'll mention for future planning is we put in the provisions in the architecture, or in the accommodations I should say, to add one additional slide. So when the time comes in the city's future where they decide we want to add one more unique thing to this pool, they can add another slide. So we'll have 3 slides to the pool facility. Again, all of this area will become pool deck, so the space that you walk on next to the pool, in between the pools, have a lot of theming activities to it, or aspects to it, so it'll look some kind of natural river type styles and themes. This building here, if you're kind of curious why that big building's there, that's basically the brains of this whole operation. That's where the pumps and the filters and the water exchange happens, all in that facility. I think water heaters, I mean, all that infrastructure would be right in there. So this entire area, basically from this point to kind of in this, maybe out a little bit further, will be our concessions patio. So your concessions tables, umbrellas, all that good stuff where folks can enjoy some refreshments and take some time off from some swimming. That structure right there is an open air shelter. So if you've been to Robinson Park, is a good example of one that's kind of open air at the bottom and it's enclosed at the top. So reservable again for family gatherings, special events, parties, that kind of thing. There'll be a small parking lot to the rear of this building over there, and then the tennis court area. We haven't landed on what we're going to do there exactly yet, but it will be either tennis courts or pickleball courts or both. We're still working through the discussions on that piece right there. But again, you know, we wanted to preserve as many diverse activities at this facility because it's not just a pool, it's a park facility that serves a lot of community members. So that's another piece over there. There will also be sun berms, so if you look over to A Street, you kind of see some buildings that might not be the most aesthetically pleasing. There'll be some sun berms built up to somewhat provide some screening between the road and the facility. And then trees. There isn't a single tree, I don't think, on this site right now. And I don't know how many the plan calls for, but the landscaping calls for a ton of trees to provide a park-like atmosphere over here, shade and all the benefits that trees provide. And again, just to kind of break up the facility, make it something that's good to look at. So if you turn around and look that way, obviously the playground equipment is self-explanatory, but the playground design and the equipment, you know, you can think about, you go through catalog, you kind of pick that stuff out. Again, we wanted something that was unique. Color selection it's kind of that forest timber look to it. A lot of variety of age groups that'll be served by that equipment. And again, some park features that you don't see at any of our other city parks around town. What's under this black tarp right here is actually another small splash and spray pad. It's kind of a compass, what some call a nautical design, I call it a compass. And that'll be a spray pad that'll be open for users, again, outside the pool portion of the facility. You'll be able to come in, park in the parking lot, walk through what it'll be more of a park here, and then head and use the playground equipment or the shelter area or enjoy some concessions. So that's.
How's the view of the ball game from up there?
Yeah, that's going to be a good. I haven't been up there yet. That's a good question. Tom asked, how is the ball game view going to be from up there? I think we probably have somebody monitor. Those could be the expensive seats. Yeah. Yep. Then we have to put up some netting actually at probably about halfway or 2/3 up the pole to keep the home runs, not foul balls, but home runs from entering the playground area. A lot of design, 3 years of design and various finishes. I mean, literally from the colors of the interior walls on every wall of the building to, again, the color of the playground equipment, the color of the slides. I mean, all of those details had to be selected by somebody at the city in some form or over the course of the duration of the project. So it's been an incredibly detail-oriented and challenging project, in addition to all the other things that the cities had to manage this year, right? We had a flooding event in the spring, we had a wind event in July, and we had everything else that we had planned to accomplish over the course of the year. So this has been a unique year, to say the least. So when we're done with this in the spring, it's going to be worth celebrating on a lot of fronts. But here we are.